So as it's becoming more and more obvious that we've been manipulated, because they're showing their cards, more and more, so you can see the structure of manipulation. Now you need to apply that to all kinds of things, but one of the main ones is what I talked about in the last video. You need to apply it to the fact that you might have been totally fooled your whole life and indoctrinated in a kind of scientism cult that believes there's things that attack you from the outside, and your body is vulnerable and not connected to your emotions, I mean like brain body emotions that cause you to be ill, or emotional shock. You know, you've got to somehow try and come to the realization that we're running on this amazing system of showing us things that we're not listening to, and that includes all serious illness. We're told everything. I'm totally amazed with how perfect this reality is. It doesn't seem perfect because there's a lot to know, but that's the idea. There's a lot to know, there's a lot to do, think about in our brains. You know, it's an adventure, and you know, I get bored because I've always thought they were telling us some massive lies, and it turns out that the biggest lie of them all is one of the ones that keeps us safe. But without this lie, you know, of emotional shock and how it creates illness in the body, without this lie, their whole plan doesn't work. So it starts with this lie, and you know, it's a big one. It rips us from our tribal roots, and it makes us so I watched a video of some people pretending, some white people, not that white's a problem, but we're quite distant from our tribe, I would say, sitting around a fire doing some kind of tribal hippie stuff, and I could only watch so much of it because they're still all coming from the scientism place. They don't really understand it. Some of them might say maybe, but who knows. I mean, what I'm saying is it becomes fake, and this is and it stinks of fakeness, because they're not really coming from that place. They're just pretending because they don't know how to get there, because to get there they would have to rip their whole reality apart. And I realise how hard it is, because I had to do it. I had to rip my whole reality apart, and you know, the difference in that, the difference in me ripping my reality apart creates a Bill's mad type situation where I look like I'm mad, which is very interesting. I'm definitely not. I seem to be very rational. If I'm totally wrong, I don't care. I'll go, I'm wrong. Jesus, I was deluded in that. What the heck was I thinking? But some things stick, because over time you get shown it more and more and more until it is reality. And I'm going on my own, you know, looking and investigation. You know, massive investigation. My life has been a big investigation. So yeah. So anyway, what am I talking about? Scientism, the delusion. Yeah, the willingness to stand up for it. This is the issue. So there's a massive willingness for people to stand up for what they've been taught. You know, what they've been taught, what they know inside their head. They're not standing up for the person that taught it to them, or what happened. You know, in some cases it might be like that if there's some kind of codependence, but they're standing up for the fact that they've wasted their time, and wasted their life. Because some people say you're like 70 or 80 and you've had this belief structure the whole time, you don't want to start breaking that belief structure apart, because part of your life will be fake, you know, or you know, not fake because it's been real. It's you know, a lot of it would have been a waste of time because you were coming from a deluded place. And obviously we all suffer delusions, but this is a massive one. This is to do with the roots of existence, and the amazing structure that we live in. You know, because it is amazing. Like I said earlier, it's more amazing than most people even realise. The scientism thing has like shoved us into a kind of you know, time warp of shit that people are accepting, and you know, end of the road type stuff. You know, it's doomsday shit, when actually everything's amazing. So it's like everyone's tripping, and I thought I was mad, right? I thought I was I had massive problems. I just turned into a really kind of rational type person that's willing to look at as much things as I can and put my hands up and say when I'm wrong, which has really helped me, and that's my advice. And you've got to start ASAP, you know, but also you see, the difference is I'm willing to talk with people about things that most people wouldn't even talk about. You know, they wouldn't want to, and I'm willing to support those people. So I get to know lots of stuff about lots of people that normally they wouldn't tell people, right? Which means I have an insight into their emotional shock program, and there's only one way of really studying it, and that, you know, so like thing is with a normal counsellor, they're not going to be your friend necessarily, so you're not going to be able to, you know, I'm doing this with friends, that's what I'm saying, but you can bounce your stuff off them, and then you reflect it inside yourself and you find out stuff. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but you've got to be as open as they are, you know, and then you open all doors, and then so every meetup opens all possibilities, so you find out the most about you know, about existence, you know, through yourselves. You know, you're really getting to the, you know, a lot of the time, if I do a session with someone, you'll get to the bottom and there'll be nothing left. You know, you've exhausted everything, you know, every angle, you know, you've really gone down everything, you know, and obviously all this is based on trust, you know, and intrigue into each other's stuff, but more so theirs if they're suffering, obviously, and it opens doors to them to heal themselves fast, by being like this. So it's an interesting thing, but you know, yeah, this massive delusion is huge. It's delusion, manipulation. You know, we have been manipulated as a race for a long time, but there was a time when everything was clear, but at some point some people made the decision to grasp at what they, you know, they decided to take a step excuse me, to the dark side. That's me snoozing them out. Take a step to the dark side and start grabbing like crap, grabbing stuff and manipulating and doing bad stuff to grab stuff and getting more and more, and they're on this train of childish bullshit of grabbing and you know, not knowing how to do anything, getting other people to do things for them all the time, and not learning anything, and not really living in this physical realm, and starting to promote themselves like gods. And you know, in their minds, gods don't have to do anything. Their image of God or gods is someone that sits around ordering everyone else around. This is not the case, and the evil, bad stuff they create is of their mind, you know, and it's projected outwards. They are deluded, I'm afraid, and they need serious help over lifetimes, I would say. So anyway, there, so it has been inflicted on us. We have had this massive, taking away of our identity as humans inflicted on us, and then dropped into the delusion, and then a delusion is perpetuated with fear. It's sad, but the key to it is all there. So we can step out of it whenever we want, and let's call this the first enlightenment. Like, if you want to enlighten yourself, make yourself lighter as a human, you need to step onto the side that is really looking at this stuff, and start with your mistrust maybe, and move if that's where you're at, and move forward into understanding how your body works. It's really important, where it comes from, the emotional shock pattern, and the subconscious reaction from the body, which doesn't line up in your mind with the emotional shock necessarily. For example, say you've got a kidney, I think it's kidneys, you have 2 kidneys I think, kidney cancer. It's like a growth. Basically your kidneys are trying to produce more surface area, because they think, your body, your subconscious program thinks that you're in the desert. It thinks that you need more water. You're really suffering, because your emotional state is shock state is suffering, and but your body has to work out what's going on, and it thinks that it's the example is it's in a desert, and it's struggling to find water, so it has to conserve water. So it's trying to do a biological program, which is make your kidneys bigger, or your kidney bigger. It depends which side it's on, mother child or relationship. It depends. But this is the program. So you have to step out of this emotional shock. While you're stepping out of the emotional shock, all kinds of things happen. And this is where different illnesses come from and stuff like that. And maybe while this emotional shock's going on, you go to some so-called professional, and they tell you that you've got no hardly any chance of survival. Looking at my chart, you've got no chance of survival. Maybe a few months. If you take this, it will make you ill, but you'll get more time. And then you face yourself. Then, right at that moment, in talking to that person, you're facing yourself. Death fright, basically. I'm gonna die. All the things go through your head. Your life flashes before your eyes. I've got this long left. How long is that? What? And you've got the death fright, lung cancer, basically, because you're struggling. Your body thinks it's struggling to breathe. It's trying to produce more surface area so that you can breathe. Because it thinks you're running out of oxygen. So this might seem really basic, but the body does have basic programs. It can't have complicated programs. You can talk to it, but you can't. It can't be another entity. It's just an extension of you. It just gets further away and less accessible by the thinking brain, which is, by the way, just the thinking brain. It has a certain purpose. It doesn't have the key to everything. Letting go of it, you find out more. About existence. So anyway, that's another snippet of some of the emotional shock program that you can all learn. Really good to learn, because you can get yourself out of a massive scrape really fast. It's really healthy to go, all right, say you've got a cancer or you're really ill, and they're like, it's really, it could go into your lymph nodes. most of the time it goes into your lymph nodes, you know, and people die from that. Or if someone's saying stuff like that to you, lymph nodes is devastation, by the way. So if you say you get your boob chopped off, you know, because you've had to have an operation, it can go into your lymph nodes, and that's because it's devastation. It goes brain body. It doesn't spread throughout the blood system. That's been proven in science, and no matter what word or jargon they use. So this is largely based on cancer because it's what I've studied a lot, and not only studied, looked at lots of people out of my own interest. So yeah. So you're basically you know, so you can go you can go to the doctor, and then instead of getting the self-devastation and everything falling apart, you're aware that you might get another emotional shock. So you go, right, you come to terms with it before it's even happened. I'm going to have my boob chopped off. I'm using boob as an example because it's quite a big event. Of course, it's horrible. So I'm going to come to terms with that before it happens as much as I can. And then when it happens, I'm going to really work on that it's okay and it's just another thing in my life, and I'm going to really work on it, which some people do, and they don't get cancer in the lymph nodes or anything. You know, and it's about working on it. So you know, it's really simple advice. And if anything, if you don't believe any of this stuff, then just do it anyway, because it makes you feel better. You know, it's just nice to look after yourself like that. And you know, people do it subconsciously. People get through their illness subconsciously all the time, and this is the problem with the jibber jabber. You know, I'm not sure what they've really done, what they've put in it, but it might speed up the you know, the healing phase, which is the cancer growth, and then you know, not give you enough time. You know, it might be a time thing. I don't know. There's not been enough time to work out what's going on yet, because it's all a trial, isn't it? We're still in the trial phase, although they definitely know what's going on because they've had the mRNA vaccine for a long time now. But anyway, it's good to be aware of the whole thing. You know, be aware of the emotional shock patterns, and when I make people aware of it, they always go, "Oh, that's great," and I didn't know that, and yeah, I'm going to do that, and they do it, and they don't get any, you know, the next cancers don't arrive, you know, that they say are going to arrive, because it's normal in if you're slightly unconscious to just go with it, because you don't know, and you trust the scientism thing. I don't think all science is bad, by the way. You know, I would never say that, you know, or all things to do with doctors or hospitals. I'm not saying it's bad at all. Some of it's very necessary. It's just, I would say 60% isn't. Maybe 70, maybe 80%. Maybe there's just a tiny percentage. But I'm not clever enough in the scientism world to understand what percentage it would be. But it's very that if we actually you know, came to the understanding of how our systems work, emotional shock and emotions and body systems work, you know, the hospitals wouldn't need to be what they are. Nowhere near. And I think it is somewhere like 80% shrinkage. That would do a lot, especially in England. We have the NHS. The NHS would be tiny. You know, and they would be able to employ much more people, and much more people would have, you know, a fulfilling day. You know, because you're dealing with people, and you're getting to know people, and this is how it works. You know, the closest we've got is people under the surface going, "Yeah, stress kills you." You know, stress kills you. Is that it? What's behind that? What's going on there? You know, and what do you need to change in your life? Because this is what it's based on. It's based on changing things in your life. You know, changing things. So actually, literally changing things. so that you're living a slightly different life, because you've been living a life that's not not keeping you safe. You've done something wrong, so you need to change it. And there's sometimes it can be tiny, like a tiny thing, like speaking up for yourself, and working out why you can't speak up for yourself and why you suffer because you can't speak up for yourself and why you're trapped in that loop. Work that out. Lots of people have that. Or why, or the opposite end, why you're so angry. Why am I always at people? Why am I doing that? How is that related to why I'm ill? Really look at yourself. These are the things that get you out of trouble. Aging's a good one. You can look at people over the years, how they age. People will age much faster if they're surrounded by stress, and turmoil and stuff like that. They'll age a lot faster because they're not looking after themselves, and their body's just using its energy somewhere else. It's constantly busy, doing loads of shit, and it's not focused on just your general well-being on the outside, and you're like shriveling up, and you can't, your teeth are all fucked, and which isn't what they say. I know that for a fact. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, another rant about emotional shock and stuff. Yeah, that's it. Hope that was interesting. I'm going to go and do something, bend some wood around something more, because I've been doing that a bit. Okay, cheerio.